All right, we're going to pick back up in Codeword Barbelon, Book 2, 666. Antichrist is a Woman, Alive and Well, by P.D. Stuart. We are in chapter 17. The mystery woman that sits on 7 mountains. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The seven heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. Revelation chapter 17, verse 9. I will now explain, before proceeding further, the hieroglyphic of the woman who sitteth upon 7 mountains, as brought to view in Revelation chapter 17, verse 9, and who is described as having a golden cup in her hand, Revelation chapter 17, verse 4. Here is the mind which hath wisdom, says the scripture. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. It is significant to note that this verse says one requires a mind which hath wisdom to decode the meaning of the woman and the 7 heads or mountains on which she sits. This is telling us that we need to apply our minds to the passage in order to fully comprehend it. No casual reader of this passage will do. It requires wisdom and intelligence. Now let us first use our intelligence and look up the word Vatican in a good English-Latin dictionary, or even in the encyclopedias. When we do so, we will learn that Vatican City and St. Peter's Basilica were both built upon the Vaticanus Mons or Vaticanus Coelus. Now, if we use some wisdom and look up the words Mons or Coelus, we find that they mean hill or mountain. Even the Catholic Concise Oxford Dictionary states that the word Vatican is derived from Vaticanus, which it confirms is the name of a hill in Rome. And the Catholic Encyclopedia states it is within the city of Rome, called the City of 7 Hills. That entire area of Vatican State proper is now confined. Septa Momentum, a Roman festival, was held in the month of December. The day was a Des Furitas for the Montani, or the inhabitants of the 7 ancient hills, who offered sacrifices to the gods, small g, and instituted to commemorate the enclosure of the 7 hills of Rome within the walls of the city. There is also a collection held in the British Museum consisting of an ancient Roman coin, or sestertius, minted at Taraco in 71 AD during the reign of Vespasian. I'm sure I'm saying that's wrong. Vespasian, 69 to 79 AD. This coin declares Vespasian to be the Pontifex Maximus, the very title later assumed by the popes. The coins, also depicts the city of Rome as a goddess, Dea Roma, and has her seated on 7 hills. Originally, independent settlements existed on the Quirinal, the Esquiline, the Capitoline, and the Kilian also. These hills with the citadels upon them were places of refuge also, in case of necessity, for the settlers upon the adjacent plains. And at a very early date, all these hill settlements were fused into a single city, Rome. Likewise, other historians, geographers, and poets all speak of the city with 7 hills. The passages might be quoted to this purpose without number and without end. It is observed, too, that New Rome, or Constantinople, is situated on 7 mountains, but these are very rarely mentioned and mentioned only by obscure authors in comparison of the others. And besides the 7 mountains, other particulars must coincide, which cannot be found in Constantinople. It is evident, therefore, that the city seated on 7 mountains must be Rome, and a plainer description could not be given of it without expressing the name, which there might be several reasons for concealing. Of course, there are some Catholic apologists who say that Rome is not built on one of the 7 hills. Well, it is true, the original walls of the city of the Caesars, which were built between 272 and 279 by Aurelian, did not include the area of the Vatican Hill, which is situated on the west bank of the Tiber. However, after the sacking of St. Peter's and of Rome by the Muslim Saracens in 846, Pope Leo VI, between 848 and 852, repaired and enlarged the city walls as a defensive measure. Thus, Leo IV, in fortifying Vatican Hill against future attacks, thereby included it within the perimeter of the newly reinforced city walls. The remains of these fortifications can still be seen today around Vatican City and the rest of the city of Rome. This fact is confirmed by the Catholic Encyclopedia. Between 848 and 852, Leo IV surrounded the whole Vatican settlement with a wall, which included it within the city borders. Under the pontificate of Sixtus V, 1585 to 1590, this section of Rome remained a private papal possession and was entrusted to a special administration. Sixtus, however, placed it under the jurisdiction of the urban authorities as the 14th region. Excuse me. Today, the entire city of the Vatican is within the area called the 7 Hills. It should be noted also that the 7 heads of the beast in Revelation chapter 17, verses 9 and 10 have another signification. Not only do they refer to the 7 mountains or hills on which the metropolis of the beast is situated, but also to the 7 successive orders or kinds of governments. Visualize kings, consuls, dictators, tribunes, decemvirs, emperors, the kingdom of the Goths in Italy, and when at the last the empire of Justinian was reduced to a point, he handed over power to the Bishop of Rome. For the Roman historian Tacitus in Annals, Book 1, Chapter 1, expressly says, Rome was first governed by king, then by consuls, by dictators, by decemvirs, by military tribunes with consular authority. After these 7 forms became extinct, the popedom appeared in all its rigor and has continued ever since as the 8th head of the beast. The short history of this matter is as follows. First, there was the regal period of the kings. During the period of the Roman kingdom, the king of Rome was the principal executive magistrate. He was the chief priest, lawgiver, judge, and sole commander of the army. From the time of the kings to the establishment of the republic in 509 BC, 7 kings reigned by name: Romulus, Numa, Pompilius, Tullus, Hostilius, Ancus Marcus, L. Tarquinianus Pressus, Servus Tullus, and L. Tarquinius Serbus. The transition from the monarchy to the republic was a sudden one, the outcome of a revolution. This was followed by a system where the supreme power was placed in the hands of 2 magistrates, the consuls, elected for the same term of office. New councils were elected every year. There were 2 councils, and they ruled together. The system of councils did prove a workable one, although the Romans found it wise a few years after the founding of the Republic to modify it slightly by establishing the dictatorship. In 494, the patricians proposed a compromise with the plebeians that the latter would be allowed to elect annual officials, perhaps 5 in number, with sufficient power to protect them against the autocratic action of the consuls. The new officials took their title as tribuni plebis, or tribunals. From then, the tribunals and the consuls existed side by side until 451, when a compromise between the plebeians and the upper classes, the patricians, were arranged, to the effect that the consuls and the tribunes should alike give place to a commission of 10 men called the decemvirs, and who would exercise the function. I'm going to spell that for y'all. It's Decemvirs, decemvirs, who would exercise the functions of chief magistrates, as well as to publish a code of laws defining the principles of Roman administration, binding on the whole community. When the decemvirs' term of office expired, the decemviri refused to leave office. An uprising against the decemvirate saw the decemviri resign their offices in 449 BC, and the ordinary magistrates, the magistratus ordinari, the consuls, were reinstated. But the plebs felt they were not protected and demanded the secured the restoration of the tribunate and certain rights which the Roman leaders Valerius and Horatius secured for them. Thus, in 449 BC, another law that established the tribunate on a surer basis than ever. Then, much later, 85 years before Christ was born, L. Cornelius Sulla, by legislation, made himself dictator for an indefinite period with the express purpose of reforming the constitution. But in 71 AD, after a brilliant and victorious military campaign of only 6 months, Crassus returned to Rome to secure an election to the consulship in 70 BC. I think that one should be BC, if I'm not mistaken. Pompey and Crassus were elected to the consulship in return for the repeal of the obnoxious Sullan laws. Yeah, so that should have said BC, but he has AD there, so that's just like a misprint. I say more on the history of this in chapter 20, 7 kings, 5 are fallen, etc. Vatican or Old Hag. According to the Catholic Encyclopedia Online, the territory on the right bank of the Tiber between Monte Mario and Giannicolo, and its Jerusalem, was known to antiquity as the Ager or land Vaticanus. And owing to its marshy character, the low-lying portion of this district enjoyed an ill repute. The origin of the name Vaticanus is uncertain. However, according to Vatican Curator, the Vatican Hill takes its name from the Latin word Vaticanus, a Vaticini Fernandis, in allusion to the oracles, divinations, or Vanicinia, which were anciently delivered here. And the author, Aulus Gellius, writing in the 2nd century, also tells us that the word Vatican was derived from Vaticina, or prophecies which took place there. Now, if we look up the word Vatican in most Latin, English Latin dictionaries, or in any good encyclopedia, we will read that Vatican City and St. Peter Basilica was built upon the Vaticanus Mons or Vaticanus Colus Mons, and Colus mean hill or mountain. Mons and Colus means hill or mountain. You will also find the words of Vatic, Vatis, Vatis, all relate to prophecy as shown here. And then he's got this thing to where it says, where it gives you the definitions of Vatis or Vatis, and it says prophecies, prophetess, hill in Rome on the right bank of the Tiber, to rant and rave, talk wildly, brazier. So that's what those things mean. Let us now apply wisdom. The word Vatic and its association to prophecy can be found in a standard English dictionary. Vat, a large tub or cask for storing or holding liquids. Vatic, adjective, prophetic, oracler. Vatican, noun, the official papal residence, the papal government. Vatican City, independent papal state within Rome, Italy. Let's see. Source was Webster's 2, New Riverside Dictionary, 1995, and Longmeadow Press, 1988. And here's what you find in a Latin English dictionary for the suffix anus or anus from Vaticanus. I don't even know what to say right now. I want to laugh. Forgive me. I'm sorry. God have mercy. All right. This is what it says. Anatus, old woman, hag. Anus, adjective, suffix, from common nouns, urbanus, of the site, from place names, Romanus, Anus. Maybe it's not anus. Maybe it's Anus. Romanus, from or of Rome, Roman, from personal names, Claudianus or Claudian. Forgive me. I was not making fun, but that's how it's Anus. I don't know how else to pronounce it, but now I do. Anus. That's why I just got giggled on there. Forgive me. Vaticanus then is a combination of Vatic and Anus, just as Romanus is a combination of Rome and Anus. Therefore, Vaticanus Colis or Vaticanus Mons mean the prophetic hill or mountain, which can be rephrased as the hill or mountain of prophecy. The word Vatican is merely a shortened form of Vaticanus, like Claudian is a shortened form of Claudianus, as shown above, and means old hag, witch, or fortune teller. A Catholic book published in 1998 and written by none other than Nino Bello confirms this, stating the name, visualize Vatican, was given to a hillside on the west bank of the Tiber River in Rome because of the daily lineups of fortune tellers that would hawk their wares there to passerbys on the street. That very place has now, Bello tells us, become the seat of the Roman Catholic Church. It is most curious, too, that coins minted in Vatican City from 1955 to 1965 under 3 different popes have the inscription on the reverse side in Italian, Sit del Vaticano, which wisdom, Revelation chapter 17:9, has now shown us means city of prophecy. What? All of that, and that's what I did not get that. Let me reread that, guys. Okay. It is most curious, too, that coins minted in Vatican City from 1955 to 1965 under 3 different popes have the inscription on the reverse side in Italian, Sit del Vaticano, which wisdom, Revelation 17:9, has now shown us means city of prophecy. But what kind of prophecy is Vatican symbolic of? In the Bible, when the word Vatican is used, it has been associated with false prophecy and false prophets who prophesy for hire or pay. Here is how it is used in the Old Testament book of Nehemiah, chapter 6, verse 12, King James Version. And that's all in Latin. And then down here it says, which translates, and lo. Oh, wow. So in Greek, or I don't know what that, Latin. Vaticanese is in there, just to let you know. And lo, I perceived that God had not sent him, but that he pronounced this prophecy against me, for Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. And that's in Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 12. Thus, the association of the word Vatican with prophecy is of a sorcerous kind. This is even confirmed by the Catholic online encyclopedia New Advent and can be found in the Catholic Church's Latin Vulgate under Nehemiah 6. And we have seen from the two dictionary definitions a few paragraphs above, the word annus, not anus, but annus in Latin means old woman. Vaticanus, therefore, is a combination, two words that give us the old woman of prophecy. And as I will show in the next chapter, this woman of Bible prophecy is a church. Now, I'm sorry, I don't want to offend nobody from that last reading, but I didn't understand how to pronounce that word. Just didn't. So anyway, now we're in chapter 18. A scarlet-clad woman on a scarlet-colored beast. Come hither, and I will show thee the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon her forehead was written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Revelation chapter 17, verse 1, verse 3, and verse 5. Revelation chapter 17, 1 through 5 opens in dramatic lines. Come hither, I will show unto you the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet. 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. We will focus on verses 1, 3, and 5. These symbolisms, the colors, the metaphoric woman, her fornications, and the name written so boldly across her head are but additional hieroglyphs of Antichrist. But what is the real identity of this woman with the inscription Mystery Babylon written boldly across her forehead? Why is she adorned in colors of scarlet and purple? What is the plot of this drama? And on what stage will the scene be played out? The book of Revelation, chapters 12, 17, and 18, tells the tale of 2 women. One is dressed in pure white, representing the purity of true faith and doctrine of the Christian church. This pure woman is brought to view in Revelation 12 and is portrayed as completely committed to Christ, her lover. But another woman is alluded to in the very next chapter of Revelation, chapter 13, but not specifically mentioned. The name of this other woman is given 4 chapters later in chapter 17. This second woman presents an opposite picture to the first, for she is said to be utterly unfaithful, even to the extent of having numerous affairs with great men of the earth. What then is the meaning of these strange symbolisms and of the scarlet-colored beast carrying the scarlet-clad woman with the appellation Mystery Babylon across her forehead? The identity of this prophesied mystery woman has long fascinated and puzzled Bible readers. Much curious learning has been employed upon the analysis of this celebrated passage of Scripture. At one time, it was said by the crafty Spanish Jesuit Alcazar in 1604, and is today taught by many Protestants, that this prophecy concerning Antichrist applied to Nero. The idea had currency for a time, but was replaced with another heresy, reintroduced by one Porphyry, who vainly tried to apply the prophecy to the Greek king Antiochus IV Epiphanes. Again, this latter interpretation is held by an even larger number of Protestants. But an even more disfiguring interpretation of the prophecy is that taught by the futurists, the majority of the Christian world, who say the Antichrist is yet future and will only come after the Christians are all raptured away, leaving the ungodly and the Jews. But the first two of these heresies of interpretation have long been scotched, and the latter is easily refuted. Sadly, though, they have resurfaced their ugly head and they're saying it all over again. And that you've got the preterist view, which says it's Nero, and then you've got the futurist view that's saying that it's in the future. And then you've got, I don't know, like the middle ground is saying it's Antiochus Epiphanes. So these things are not gone. They're resurfacing. All right, let me go on. It is clear that Nero does not fulfill the key requirements of Antichrist. As to Antiochus Epiphanes, he fails the test too. Those who make Antiochus Epiphanes the Antichrist rely on a prophecy in the book of Daniel concerning the abomination of desolation, which they say was fulfilled in the year 168 BC by the anti-Christian king Antiochus Epiphanes, who placed an idol upon the altar of God in the temple of Jerusalem. This, some claim, was the setting up the abomination of desolation on the altar, defying God's temple. The Antiochus Epiphanes could not be the Antichrist is seen in two simple facts. Firstly, Antichrist was to exist until the end of time, when he, she, it was to be destroyed by the brightness of the Lord's coming. Antichrist was to come out of and after the fall of the Roman Empire, and not before. Antiochus Epiphanes died in 164 BC. Yet over 160 years later, Jesus Christ was still predicting that the abomination of desolation was yet future. Jesus said to his disciples, "But when ye see the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place, then let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains." Mark chapter 13, verse 14. And to confirm that this was the same abomination of desolation mentioned in the book of Daniel, Christ said, "Abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet." Mark chapter 13, verse 14. Thus, it must be clear to anyone with a modicum of intelligence that Antiochus Epiphanes came more than 160 years too soon. Moreover, the Apostle Paul tells us that Antichrist would be in existence till the end of time and will only be destroyed by the breath power of the Lord when he returns. Secondly, the Antichrist was to persecute the Christians. It would wear out the saints of the Most High. Daniel chapter 7, verse 25, not the Jews. Moreover, Antichrist was to sit in the temple of God, the church, and not in a Jewish temple, as is falsely taught by preterism and futurism. Antichrist was to be a Judas and a professed Christian, and not a Greek or Arab. For we are told Antichrist would sitteth in the temple of God, pretending to be a friend of Christ and Christians. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. As already pointed out, all the theories of the Antichrist also identifies this system, the mystery woman, the beast, and the number of the beast as equivalent and to be one and the same power. With Protestant, no less than with Roman Catholic expositors, it has been an especial favorite. Almost all of the eminent men among the latter have concurred in adopting it. Antichrist is that woman upon the scarlet-colored beast. This woman, Antichrist, according to Revelation 17, is a church and was to exercise both temporal and spiritual sway, for she is enthroned upon many waters. Visualize the nations, the peoples of the world. The woman's dress is also most interesting. The specificity of the colors mentioned indicates that they are given for the purpose of identification, which we shall shortly prove to be a correct assumption. Why do we say Antichrist is a church? Consider the use of the symbolism of a woman in Revelation 17. The Bible habitually uses a harlot or an adulterous woman to represent a church when it goes a whoring after other gods or adopts false doctrines. Thus, the prophet Isaiah asked concerning Jerusalem, the capital of the ancient church of God, how is the faithful city become a harlot? Isaiah 1:21. And Jeremiah said of Israel, thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, Jeremiah 3:1. Likewise, the prophet Hosea warned, though Israel, the church of God in the Old Testament, play the harlot, let not Judah offend, Hosea chapter 4, verse 15. Therefore, the word harlot in Revelation 17 designates not only a church, but a corrupt one. And the word great on the forehead of the woman denotes the flagrancy and openness of her sins and corruptions. Thus, Mystery Babylon, Barbelon, represents an unfaithful or corrupt church that is full of mysteries. The true church is always espoused to one husband, Jesus Christ. As the Catholic Church itself confirms, the woman is the church because, as Revelation 12:17 tells us, the rest of her offspring are those who bear witness to Jesus, making them Christians. But this woman of Revelation 17, on the other hand, holds promiscuous commerce or relations with the nations, rulers, and the great men of the world. Plus, she adopts the customs and practices of all pagan religions. To prove the term harlot is symbolic of a church, consider the words of this learned author. In the visions of the apocalypse, on the one side, we behold a woman clothed with the sun, which is Christ, treading on the moon and having her brow encircled with 12 stars, the diadem of apostolic faith. She is a mother, and her child is caught up to heaven. On the other side, we see another woman arrayed in worldly splendor, enthroned on many waters, and having on her head the name Mystery, Mother of Abominations of the Earth. As the first woman, the bride of Christ, the holy city, the New Jerusalem, represents the faithful church, so the second woman, the harlot, the great city, Babylon, represents a faithless church. The question now is, what church? It was also proposed that the woman dressed in scarlet and bedecked with jewels in Revelation chapter 17 represents an unfaithful or corrupt church. Are these results confirmed by the facts? The symbolism of a woman. The woman in white. In Bible prophecy, whenever God wished to represent his pure, faithful Christian church, he used the symbolism of a woman dressed in white. For example, Revelation chapter 19, 7-8. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him. For the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife has made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. For the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. Ephesians chapter 5, 31-32. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. Matthew chapter 9, 14-15 states, Then came to him the disciples of John, saying, Why do we and the Pharisees fast off, but your disciples fast not? And Jesus said unto them, Can the children of the bride chamber mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken from them, and then shall they fast. Thus, the woman of Revelation 13 in white is Christ's bride, the true church. But what about the other woman of Revelation 13 and 17 and 19:2? This other woman, the second woman, is called a whore or harlot and is not dressed in white, but in scarlet. But I think he's got that. Yeah, right. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. Yeah, he said that wrong. Or he didn't say it wrong. There's a misprint. Again, I found another misprint. So that's the woman of Revelation 12, not 13. In Revelation 12, in white is Christ's bride. the true church. Okay, because it says 13 in here. It's not, because it doesn't even talk about her in 13. All right, symbol of an impure woman or harlot, prostitute, or whore. In the Bible, when the church was in apostasy or became corrupt, it was compared to a loose or impure woman. Jeremiah chapter 3, 1 through 3 and 6. But you have played the harlot with many lovers. You have polluted the land with your whoredoms and with your wickedness. You had a whore's forehead. You refuses to be ashamed. The Lord also said unto me, have you seen that which backsliding Israel has done? She has played the harlot. When Israel became unfaithful, God gave her, the nation of Israel, a certificate of divorce and sent her away because of her adulteries. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 8. Whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery. I had put her away and given her a bill of divorcement. Yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not, but went and played the harlot also. Symbolism of scarlet clothing. This too has great significance. Scarlet, from the Persian, I can't say that word, is a bright hue of the color red with a slight hint of orange. In Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18, sins are described as scarlet and red like crimson. Thus, the symbolism of scarlet is used here in the sense of sinning in flagrant and scarlet fashion, like the proverbial scarlet woman. Since the beginning of time, red has been associated with prostitution, the world's oldest profession. Rahab, the prostitute of biblical times, tied a scarlet rope outside her door to help the Israelite spies identify her house. Later, in red light districts around the world, prostitutes came to implement a variation of Rahab's identifying signal. The prostitutes of old were required to wear a piece of red in public to signify their status. While Hester Prynne, the protagonist in Nathaniel Hawthorne's epic novel, The Scarlet Letter, was branded with a scarlet badge of shame for her crime of adultery. Historically, a woman wearing red clothing against her skin was considered immoral. This color clearly, therefore, represents the character, seductive, and shameless alliances of the woman of Revelation 17. For it is said of her, the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. I find that kind of amusing. Just a little side note here. One of the first long movies I ever watched on PBS was called The Scarlet Letter, and I was extremely young. I think I was in between the summer of 5th grade and 6th grade. Really shouldn't have watched that, probably. Should never been allowed to watch that. And then one time, my cousin Kathy painted my nails red. I was a very young girl, and I think it was before they came out with nail polish remover. My mom threw a fit, and they made her scrape that nail polish off with a bobby pin, and that really hurt. So I understand what they're talking about when it comes to the color red. All right, symbolism of the beast on which the scarlet woman rides. A beast in Bible prophecy is used as a symbol of a political power or kingdom, as clearly shown in Daniel chapter 7, verse 17. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. These kingdoms were known in history as the Babylonian Empire, 605 to 606 BC to 539 BC, the lion. Medo-Persian Empire, 538 BC to 331 BC, the bear. Grecian Empire, 331 BC to 168 BC, the leopard. Roman Empire, 168 BC to 476 AD, the dragon-like beast. Thus he said, the fourth beast, Roman Empire, shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and tread it down, and break it in pieces. Daniel chapter 7, verse 23. Thus the beast on which the woman sits represents the temporal, civil power by which she is supported. Writes Bishop Newton, the beast, therefore, upon which the woman rideth is the Roman government in its last form. And this all must acknowledge is the papacy, or the government of the Pope. Symbols of the many waters on which the whore sitteth. The waters which thou sawest, where the whore, the woman, sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and different tongues. Revelation chapter 17, verse 18. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. What does this mean? Clearly, this woman sits on or controls a vast number of the earth's inhabitants, for she sits on peoples and multitudes and nations of different tongues. The expression in this passage, sits on or sitteth on, signify either a position of dominance or influence or both. Her true colors. Revelation chapter 17, verse 3 and then 4 through 6 says, And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, red, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. As mentioned earlier, there are those scholars who would have believed that by the woman in Revelation 17, the prophet John meant Turkey, which they say was drunk with the blood of the saints and martyrs of Jesus. But it must be clear to anyone with a modicum of intelligence that this interpretation is forced, that the papacy is here indicated. Revelation 17, verse 3, 4, and 6 is evident by the woman, a church in scarlet colors, signifying not only her official apparel, but her centuries of bloodshed. Her dress of purple is symbolic of the priestly livery or clothing worn at Rome. Who does not know that scarlet and purple are the colors of the papacy? According to Haley's Bible Handbook, the scarlet color of the woman and the beast is the color of the papacy. The papal throne is scarlet. It is borne by 12 men in scarlet. The cardinals' hats and robes are scarlet. The historian history informs us the white bandeau or diadem, borrowed from the East, became the distinctive sign of the ruler, while as formerly the purple raiment, vestments, or stately clothing had been the solo sign. Volume 6, page 435. On October 31st, 1999, at the signing of the Joint Declaration on Justification by Faith between the Roman Catholic and the Lutheran World Federation churches in Augsburg, Germany, the Roman Catholic leaders wore the colors of scarlet and purple. Dressed in scarlet red was Cardinal Edward Cassidy, president of the Pontifical Council for Promoting Christian Unity. Bishop Walter Casper, secretary, Pontifical Council for Promoting Christian Unity, was also wearing purple, whereas the leaders of the Lutheran Church were in black. For example, Reverend Christian Krause, the Lutheran World Federation, LWF, president, who is seen seated on the left in the picture at the website given. And then here we go right here. Let me see if I can, hold on. Right there. Okay. This is October 31st, 1999, signing of the Joint Declaration of Justification by Faith between the Roman Catholic and the LWF churches in Augsburg, Germany. Dressed in scarlet is Cardinal Edward Cassidy, president of the Pontifical Council for Promoting Christian Unity. On the right, wearing purple, is Bishop Walter Casper, secretary, Pontifical Council for Promoting Christian Unity. Seated on the left in black is Reverend Christian Krause, the Lutheran World Federation president. Is it sheer coincidence that on March 12, 2000, at the Papal Apology Mass, Pope John Paul II was dressed in purple when he officiated, and that the other members of the Catholic priesthood also wore various shades of violet or purple during the Catholic festival of Lent? Or that on Sunday, March 26, 2000, when John Paul II celebrated Mass in the Basilica of the Resurrection in Jerusalem, he was dressed in a purple Lenten robe and a mitre trimmed with scarlet red. And that's something. In case you are tempted to think that this amazing color coordination is just coincidence, we are told by the Catholic Church that it is not. These are the official colors of the Catholic clergy. The Catholic Encyclopedia confirms. Kappa Magna, a cloak with a long train and a hooded shoulder cape, Purple wool for bishops. For cardinals, it was scarlet watered silk. For Advent, Lent, Good Friday, and the conclave, purple wool. And rose watered silk. Where's the word? Hold on. And rose watered silk for Gaudete and Later Sundays. And for the Pope, it was red velvet for Christmas matins, red serge at other times, cassock, schouten, the close-fitting ankle-length robe worn by the Catholic clergy as their official garb. The color for bishops and other prelates is purple, for cardinals, scarlet. On March 12, 2000, during the Papal Apology Mass, the Pope and other members of the Roman Catholic priesthood wore various shades of violet purple, and because it also occurred during the Catholic festival of Lent, when the penitential color of purple is traditionally worn. Reader, scarlet is everywhere in the scarlet-colored church. Scarlet bands, scarlet cardinal hats, scarlet robes for pontiff and priest. Altogether, Rome has 5 different articles of dress of scarlet colors. Wow. Even at dinner, they must wear scarlet. We can also see the cunning cardinal pussyfooting about the quarters of the U.S. State Department. And in death, they must wear scarlet. And here you go. Here, I'll show you. That's pretty freaky, you guys. There's somebody died. Somebody died. There, reader, her true colors, purple and scarlet. Revelation chapter 17, verse 4. Thus, the scarlet-dressed woman of Revelation 17, with the name Mystery Babylon on her forehead, is a church having great pomp, splendor, wealth, and power. This church affects the style and title of our Holy Mother, the Church. But her true name is given in Revelation 17 as Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. In the day of the prophet John, the beloved disciple of Jesus, who saw the vision on the Isle of Patmos, she was called Mystery Babylon. Today she goeth by the name of Roman Catholic. Indeed, that Rome is before us is proved by the mention of the scarlet color of imperial and papal Rome, by the topographical situation on 7 hills, by the reference to a golden cup, which is traced on medals of the popes, with the self-condemning inscription, Sedit Seper Universum, by the fact that when John wrote Revelation, the city of Rome was the mistress of the world, known to all as New Babylon. By the fact that the false, corrupt system of Romanism has its capital in Rome, and by the fact that her official laws require her bishops, cardinals, and popes to wear blood-empurpled skirts, which we shall see is most befitting for a church that has shed so much of the blood of the martyrs of Jesus Christ. Yet, because I know that some may feel yet unconvinced by this analysis, and since I do not wish to compel reluctant assent to this interpretation, I invite the reader to come with me as I search for the other proofs elsewhere through which we may put an end to the matter by clear and infragable demonstration, to use the expression of Joseph Mead in his Clavis Apocalyptica, 1833. That's just crazy. I don't even know. All right, brothers and sisters, I'm going to end that there. Let the dogs out. What time is it? It's 8:35 at night. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick back up tonight or not. I don't know. Steve and Tracy, yes. Normally nobody really listens to me read live. I do this live. It's not pre-recorded because I don't use my computer. I just use the cell phone. So I don't really talk to anybody as I'm reading, and you're writing a question or writing anything. Just people listen to it after I'm done, which is probably best. All right, keep your eyes on Jesus, brothers and sisters. Your nose in the book, which is the Word of God. And let us embed the Word of God upon the tablets of our hearts, so you and I will not sin against God or be deceived. Be blessed.